Yo, what up guys? Welcome back to Sneaker Stories. As always, I'm your host Chris Jack. Today, a brand new review of one of my favorite pickups of 2020 so far, and that is none other than the Nike Air Jordan 3 in the UNC colorway. Without further ado, let's check it out. Alright, so the Air Jordan 3 in the UNC colorway. This is one of the coolest and cleanest colorways that I've seen on an Air Jordan 3, and it comes packed with a whole host of minor different switches and detail changes to the Air Jordan 3 from just, other colorways and releases we've seen in the past. And this particular colorway has always been something that I've wanted to have in the collection, albeit probably the player exclusive version of this, which looks like that, which you can see actually just looks very, very similar, with the exception of the UNC embroidery and a couple of other little details on that particular pair. But the crazy thing is that pair over there costs between $4,000 and $10,000 depending on size, just because of its exclusivity being a player exclusive. And this one over here costs like, I don't even know in dollars, but it was 3,100 Rand, which is a hell of a lot less than forking out that. So obviously it's always nice to have very rare stuff, but this for me is just one that I had to go and get, and I thought that it was actually potentially quite slept on, judging by what people were buying last Saturday when they released. And speaking of that, there were a whole bunch of other releases. There was Black Cat 4s, there was Grade School Jordan 1 Pines, maybe one or two other things that people were going for that day. And it was actually a relatively easy cop in the end for me. I wasn't able to make that release as I had to be somewhere that morning. But when I got to the store afterwards, they still had a UK 9 for me. So yeah, that just makes us all the better. Now to get into the shoe itself, and I'm going to start with the outsole. As always, you've got a standard Air Jordan 3 outsole over here, which has been tri-toned here with that powder blue, which is typical of the University of North Carolina colors, and the navy blue of course as well. The majority of the rest of that is done in a gray with white on the Jordan logo here in the heel section of the shoe. And flipping up into the midsole, you do have two colors here which have been painted onto that midsole. Obviously the white for the majority, and then this powder blue in the heel section of the shoe all the way around into the medial side. This is the only thing that I really don't like. Well, when I say really don't like, I don't really don't like it, but I think it could always be better. It's just the painted finish that you do get here on the Air Jordan 3 midsole. I think if I get up close with this particular pair, you might just see the finish is not that great. In some areas you can kind of see the paint marks just towards the top there. I'll try to get that with the overlay. So yeah, it does kind of just diminish the quality feel of the particular pair, but it's not really anything that's not like worth buying the shoe for, if you know what I mean. And then moving into the upper, you do have a full tumbled leather upper. One of the first things I noticed on this particular pair is this panel of leather here, it wraps around the lower section of the shoe, is also a tumbled leather. So most of the shoes that we've seen in the past, even if I just bring out the Tinker Sketch Super Bowls over here, you'll notice that panel over there is just a flat leather, and that's something that I've seen on so many other Jordan 3s. I don't actually know if I've ever seen a tumbled leather section on this particular pair before. Now that tumbled leather is obviously the majority of this upper. It's got a very nice white matte finish to it, and it is really nice and soft to touch. And then moving to the heel section, you do have that perforation around the heel collar section of the shoe. Swinging around into the heel there, you do have a Jumpman Air logo, so it's kind of switched up between these different releases. Sometimes you've got Nike Air, sometimes you've got the Jumpman logo with Air underneath. But for me personally, it's quite nice to see the Jumpman logo come back on this particular pair. Another thing that I noticed here is the elephant print leather over here in the toe section and heel section of the shoe is a slightly off-white color. It's got a little bit of yellowing in it, so it really ties in nicely with these lighter blue colors on the particular shoe. So maybe just to show you the difference between the JTH again, you'll just see how different the color is. This is obviously more of a gray and black, and this is obviously a little bit of a lighter gray and a more of an off-white color there. Now from a lacing perspective, they do provide you with a flat set of white laces over here. There aren't any other spare laces provided with the shoe. The rings over here in the eyelets are done in a dark navy, and then the eyelets further up the shoe, which are more visible in terms of color, are done in that powder blue, just matching up with the UNC color. Now one of my absolute favorite points on this particular pair is this embroidered Jumpman logo, and I'm going going to bring out a different version here, which is probably a more standard one, just to show you the difference side by side. You can really see how this 3D embroidery on the UNC one really just stands out, and it's lined with that navy blue around it just to seal that off. Whereas on this particular pair, it's a little bit flat, it doesn't look as good quality, so that is a really nice upgrade on this particular one. Now, staying with the tongue, the reverse of the tongue is something completely different on this Jordan 3, in that it has a different coloration to the rest of the sock liner around the shoe. You also have upside down branding over here. This particular one says heart, and the other shoe says sole. So those are really nice additions to have. I know the PE version does have basketball written there, and maybe something else on the other shoe, I'm not quite sure. But that for me is a really nice addition. It just breaks up the color of the sock liner of what we've seen in previous releases, where it's the same throughout. And keeping with the details, the insole of the shoe has an awesome embroidered patch over here, which is a Jumpman or Team Jumpman logo, and it just says quality products inspired by the greatest basketball player ever. So that's a really awesome detail, instead of just the standard like heat pressed Nike Air logo or Jordan logo that we've seen on previous ones. The rest of it is just lined with this red felt-like material. Now, just one thing I've picked up on sizing on this particular pair, as they have significantly reduced the amount of padding in the heel collar section. Maybe I'll just bring this out again to give you guys an idea of the different densities of at least padding or foam in that particular space. It has made this particular pair a little bit bigger on foot. I do generally take a true size 9 in Air Jordan 3. On this particular pair, I might even be tempted to take a half size down. However, that said, if you do still have an opportunity to go and try this pair on, that is always going to be the safest bet for you, because, you know, once the laces are kind of tied down, or maybe you're wearing a thicker sock, a true to size might work absolutely perfectly. But yeah, just thought I'd tell you that they are a little bit more roomy than I'm used to on an Air Jordan 3. Now, from a pricing perspective, these did release for 3,100 Rand here in South Africa, which is a pretty much standard price for Air Jordan 3, if I'm not mistaken on that. For me, absolutely worth the buy to be able to have a pair in this particular color. It's super clean for summer. It looks really, really good on foot, at least for the clothing and colors that I generally like to wear. You could rock these with black pants, with khaki pants, or whatever kind of pants you want, and I think that they're going to look just great on foot. But that's pretty much it for the Air Jordan 3 UNC. Super stoked that we finally got to have a chance of getting this color without spending the $4,000+ on a PE version if we were that desperate for it. All in all, I think they've made some really awesome changes. I just want to quickly show you the box as well. They have changed that. It really shows that they're paying attention to details, obviously just with the UNC coloring on the top of it. The rest of it is much the same as the usual Jordan 3 box, but I think like just having these small changes and these little bits of detail on it just make it that much more desirable, and really gives me a lot more satisfaction owning this particular pair. It's not just like the same iteration in a different colorway. You know, there are some changes to it, which make me feel like it was definitely worth the cop. That's it for this review. If you guys do have any further questions, please drop them in the comments below. And please, if you would, do me the favor, give the video a thumbs up to help it spread on the greater YouTube over here and help grow this channel. And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button below. It really, really helps to grow the channel as well. But that's it from me, guys. Hope you guys have enjoyed the review. I'll catch you on the next one.